think Nigel's example that just led into my presentation really illustrates the power of engaging staff, and these small changes don't cost anything to implement but can really start to add up. And yeah, exactly as Nigel pointed out, it can really start to reduce costs and of course increase productivity. You've also got the opportunity to enhance your brand reputation. Obviously, an organisation which is engaging its staff on resource efficiency and doing everything it can is a really positive story to tell. You can attract and keep employees. I mean, people now more and more want to work for employers that care and that are doing their bit and can do the most that they can. And of course, it will minimise your wasteful practices and of course increase your profits. But staff engagement and behaviour changes is challenging, and it's not always straightforward, and there are many reasons for this. The first one really is time. A lot of people are doing resource efficiency as a kind of add-on to a role, an existing role, and it's something you're trying to kind of shoehorn into your day as you can. So time can be a huge factor as taking staff along the journey with you. And the benefits can often be difficult to quantify. Now, Nigel's example proves that you can do that, but there are other examples which are slightly more difficult to quantify, so it can be hard to get buy-in for support for your staff engagement initiatives, and that can be a real challenge as well. And resources, just having all the materials that you need, whether it be stickers or posters or green team materials, to actually, set everything up and launch a staff engagement campaign, whether it be to switch off lights or water minimisation, can really be challenging. And that links back to time, again, just not having enough time to create the resources that you need. And of course, different people have different approaches, and everybody is different, and it can be really challenging to get your message across without utilising every possible channel you've got available to you. And I think a really nice example of this is going to be a quiz, so pay attention. If you look at two males on paper that are the same really, born both in 1948, both British, both on their second marriage, and both from affluent, well-known families, can anyone guess who they might be? Even just one?
Somebody in this room.
They're famous, so. Oh, excellent. We got that one on Tuesday as well. Yeah, that's right. Can you think of someone who might be polar opposite to Prince Charles? No? Put you out your misery. It's Ozzy Osbourne. So you can see that on paper, two people might seem very, very similar, and you think that your message can be delivered in one way and that person is going to respond to it in the same way. But in actual fact, that can be the complete opposite. And I think it's really important to bear that in mind, because you need to tailor your message and you need to make sure that you're engaging with people in the way that's actually going to be effective. So there's lots of theory behind behaviour change, and you can really get yourself tied up in knots thinking of nudge theory and analysing your stakeholders by mapping them, or looking at people's states of readiness for change. But I think the simplest way, you don't need a psychology degree to make staff engagement simple. I think the simplest way that I've found is by thinking of the 4 E's model. Now that makes it sound complicated, but it really isn't. It's just a case of 4 words. And that is enable, engage, exemplify, and encourage. Now these are just, if you start to keep these in mind whenever you think about running an initiative or engaging staff, if you really just pause and think of these 4 words and start to think about what they mean to somebody, then you can start to realise maybe where gaps in an initiative might be and where you can start to address them. So enabling staff is about giving them the skills and the knowledge that they need to be able to change their behaviour. Now that might mean training. It might mean simply, if we're looking at lights, labelling a light switch panel. It's really about giving everybody everything they need to be able to succeed in changing their behaviour. Engage, it's about communicating, involving, asking for feedback and explaining the benefits. And communicating, it's not just sending out an email and asking them to start switching off lights or just putting a poster up on a notice board. It has to be the kind of whole suite of everything you have available to you, so every channel, and that means talking to people, having brown bag lunches, asking people, casually what they think would be good, for ideas and what's working, what isn't. And making sure that you involve them in that as much as possible, so it's not a one-way street by any stretch of the imagination. Exemplify, Now that's about getting your senior managers and influencers on board with whatever you're wanting your staff to do. That really gives credibility to anything that you're launching as far as an initiative. And influencers can be extremely powerful, and you should think about trying to get them on board across the organisation in different departments from different levels of seniority to really make sure that you're going to be successful. And Green Team and Champions, they're two things I'm going to talk about a little bit more in a second, but they really are fundamental to giving you the kind of building blocks really for launching anything and giving people a place that they can go to voice concerns, issues, ideas, so they can be really, really important. And encourage. So this is about maybe giving people incentives if you can. It might be really simple. You might have different sites that you might want to create a competition. You might decide you want to reduce your lighting costs by 20% by a certain date. Well, why not use two different sites to kind of have a competition to see if you can kind of, increase that competitive edge between people and really get them on board. And obviously job description as well, making people realise that you as a company see the importance of resource efficiency, so including it in your onboarding materials and making sure that it's part of somebody's job description can be really, really powerful just to really show that the value that you place on it. And of course reporting any progress, any edge towards a more resource efficient organisation is a good news story, and you should share that as frequently as possible. And of course saying thank you to people for any new behaviours, make them feel good about themselves and make it fun and engaging, and definitely never preach to your staff, because that will close off their engagement with anything that you're trying to launch. So with this in mind, and also understanding the challenges that we knew that organisations in Scotland were facing as far as time and resources, we wanted to go out and talk to a few Scottish organisations to understand where exactly those pain points were in engaging staff, and understand where Resource Efficient Scotland could come in and make things as simple as possible. And some of the feedback we got from different organisations was that people wanted specific materials, things they could just go download and grab straight from the internet and use for launching anything they wanted to change the behaviour of in their organisation. They wanted to feel that there was onboarding materials, upskilling materials, anything that was going to save them time and that they didn't have to think about really, because they don't have the time. So we took all of this on board, and we've kind of created a suite of materials to make engaging staff really as simple as possible. And the rest of what I'm going to talk to you about today covers that. So hopefully you'll know exactly where to go to get things to get you started. So based on talking to the Scottish organisations, we kind of grouped the outcomes of that into three main areas, and those are green teams, staff training, and running campaigns. And I'll just talk a little bit about each of those and the materials that we have available to help you do them. So green teams and staff training, they're really what we call the kind of building blocks. They're the foundations. If you get those things right and you get them implemented in your organisation effectively, you really do have the kind of springboard to launch anything else effectively. So if we look at green teams first, we believe there's kind of 7 steps in effective green team, and effective is a really key word because I'm sure lots of organisations have already implemented green teams and have perhaps, they haven't worked, they've lost momentum, and we've heard that quite a lot, and we just want to say that that may be the case, but they're definitely still a good thing, and it's about setting them up correctly to make sure that they're effective. And I'll go through each of these steps. The first of which is to get your senior management support. Now, this is crucial. It really does show that your organisation is committed to resource efficiency and make staff realise that senior management are bought in and they support anything that you're going to launch. We've created a free senior management presentation. Now you can take that and you can run it just as it is, or you can tailor it to be exactly what you need for your organisation. It's fully editable, and there's a script that runs alongside it as well, so anybody can deliver that. And it's a great resource if you're finding that there's just a bit of a barrier to setting up and launching a green team from your senior managers. The second point is to choose the best people. Now, it's not necessarily just about the people who are the most enthusiastic about resource efficiency. Now, they're obviously crucial, they're really, really key, but you have to understand that making people change their behaviour is about so much more. You need to make sure that the people that you choose are engaging, they are good at influencing people, and very persuasive and natural communicators. Those are the types of people that are really going to make your initiative successful. So you have to make sure that when you're, putting a green team together, that you're thinking of those things and making sure that you've got the right people. And sometimes the people that are going to be the biggest blockers as well can be great to involve into your green team, so that it kind of gives them a focus and they feel that they're bought in, and they can be really, really powerful. And we've got resources again to help you do that. We've got a poster which we suggest you use, so it's launching your green team and launching the fact that you're looking for people to join. It's got obviously the benefits of joining the green team, like it enhances your CV, there'll be training involved and things, and it really just highlights all the attributes that you're looking for. And you can use that on your notice boards and also send it out by email, put it in meeting rooms, lots of different ways you can use that. We've also got a job description and specification. Now, this might seem like quite a formal thing to do, but I think it's really key, even if you're outlining that you only require somebody for an hour of their time a month. By actually issuing a job description, you're showing the importance that you place on this new role that you're asking them to take on, but also outlining all the attributes and all the kind of things that you would be expecting them to do, and really formalising that process. And I think that really helps staff understand the value that you're placing on their green team appointment. And we've got a recruitment green team letter for you to send to managers. Now, we understand that line managers and managers of departments can actually be a bit of a blocker sometimes as well to maybe other members of staff that want to join a green team, and that's because they believe my staff don't have the time, we don't have the capacity to free up any of their time to dedicate to this. So this resource is really about helping you break down those barriers and explaining the benefits of them letting their staff be involved in something. The third point is to define the roles for your green team, and this leads on from the job description. It's about giving out an appointment letter, and this is again just showing the value that you place on this new role and outlining what you're expecting from that person and their level of commitment. And I think it's really powerful again just to show that you know this is not just an add-on to their job, this is something you really value and that you're formalising that process. Fourth point is introduce your green teams. So this is really key because people need to understand where they can bring ideas. Maybe you've launched an initiative, it might be to segregate waste or to switch off lights, and maybe there's an issue, somebody doesn't understand what's expected of them. By launching your green team and introducing them to the company, you're going to give them a place they can go and voice their concerns or their ideas. So I think it's really important, and making that as visual as possible with pictures and can really help be much more engaging and put a face to the name, because some organisations are so large you might not know who everybody is, so that can be really important. And we've got a poster that you can use to do that, and all these resources are free to download. The fifth point is to hold a kick-off meeting. It's really important as soon as you set up your green team to get things going straight away. You don't want to stall and lose momentum at that very first hurdle, and you want to kind of brainstorm all the different ideas you've got, all the initiatives that you might want to run. And we've got a green team agenda which you can use. Now, some of that might be valuable and some of it might not, but you can just score off what you don't need. But I think it's an excellent starting point to show you what you can cover and kind of kickstart some of those ideas. The sixth point is to develop and begin implementing your green team action plan. So this moves on a little bit from just coming up with lots of ideas, and I think this is what lots of green teams do. They come up with lots of ideas and they think, well, let's just start them all. And I think that can really lose focus for a green team, and it can make them feel quite demotivated when things don't really succeed. So it's about putting all your ideas into a plan, and you of course want targets, deadlines, and you want to focus on certain things, and definitely focusing on quick wins. You want the organisation to see your green team as a really positive thing and that they're achieving what they're setting out to achieve. If you don't know where to start, we've got a savings finder tool, which is an action planning tool which will create a bespoke report for your organisation. It's just a few questions, and then you will be able to have that report, and it will give you lots of ideas of where to start and initiatives that you might want to run. And then the 7th point, that's about maintaining momentum. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, but it's about keeping ideas fresh and making sure that things don't kind of suddenly tail off. You need to make sure your green team meet regularly, that they talk about any issues, or if things aren't going as planned, if behaviours aren't changing, address those straight away. Don't just feel demotivated by the fact things aren't succeeding. Talk about them and look for solutions. So that's everything that we're going to cover for Green Team at the moment. And then the next point really is staff training. And that's about recognising maybe what's right for your organisation, whether it be a more formal style of training, or whether or not you want something a little bit more informal, whether it be toolbox talks. And that really depends on the type of organisation you've got, and also bearing in mind Charles and Aussie, what's going to work best for different individuals. And we've got resources that can help you do that. Again, from beginner level, we have a thing called resource efficiency at work, and I'll just introduce that in a second. We've got toolbox talks that you can download, and we've got a slightly more advanced training, which is Green Champions training, which perhaps is more aimed at somebody who's really enthusiastic, or your Green Team members, or anyone that's done the resource efficiency at work and kind of wants to move on again. Now, resource efficiency at work it's a free training package, as all our resources are, but it's a 20-minute training video. It's got a quiz and an employee certificate as well that goes along with that. If you didn't want to deliver the video, then there's a presentation and a script, so perhaps you want to deliver that in person instead. And you can take that 20-minute training video, you might want to embed it into your onboarding process, or you might want to roll it out for the whole of your organisation now and perhaps annually going forward to keep things really fresh in people's minds. But however you want to use it, it's there for your disposal, and there's lots of lovely looking resources. And as I said, we've got the toolbox talks. At the moment, we've just got 3 toolbox talks. They cover water efficiency, energy efficiency, and waste segregation. Now, these are things that we imagine you would just grab somebody for 5 minutes. It might be more problem-solving type thing if things haven't been going as well as you would expect from launching your campaign and what you're expecting from people. Or it might be that your business is set up in a way that perhaps people always aren't at computers and they can't do the standardised training as easily as possible. And although we only have these 3, you can use them as a template to create things that are bespoke for your organisation. So you might want to do a specific lighting toolbox talk, or recycling, or equipment switch off. But I would say just keep it short. You want to just introduce the benefits of the toolbox, of the behaviour really, really succinctly, and then outline exactly what you want somebody to do so that it's really, really clear, and that they can take that and move on and know exactly what's expected of them. The final training that we have available is the Green Champions training, and again, as I said, this is slightly more kind of one step up from the basic resource efficiency at work training, but it's excellent, and we've had really, really great feedback from the organisations that have taken part in that training so far. It's perfect for taking, half an hour at lunchtime over a couple of weeks, or over a couple of months, whatever suits your schedule, and it's done in modules, so it's in bite-sized chunks, and it's perfect for fitting into your busy schedules. And at the end of it, you get a certificate to show that you've completed that training, which is obviously excellent if you want to add that to your CV as well. So the final point I'm just going to quickly cover is about running campaigns. So you've kind of got all the foundations in place in your organisation now with staff training and your green team. So everyone's ready to start changing their behaviour, hopefully. So you want to start running campaigns, and they can be lots of different things, but I would say that it's really important to stay focused. You don't want to throw too many behaviour changes at people at one time. So you want to keep your message clear and simple. So as I just said, you want to stay focused. You want to focus on the quick wins first. You want to repeat, perhaps. So you might do something for 2 months, and then you might move on to another initiative for 2 months, and again, another couple of months later, you might run the same initiative again. So it's not saying that after 2 months, that's it. People have changed their behaviour. They will always start to slip back again if you don't then kind of reinforce those messages at a later date. You want to avoid busy periods, obviously, and you want to keep things fresh. So if you are using posters or stickers, make sure you're changing them regularly, but I'll talk a bit more about that in a second. So here's an example of what you might do in an organisation. So focusing on 2 months, cycles. You might launch your green team for 2 months and kind of general importance of resource efficiency and start training your staff on just general benefits. And then you might want to focus on, of course, why we're here today, which is about lighting, and then moving on to different topics as well to make sure it's keeping it fresh, but that you are staying focused for that 2-month period. So yeah, I've covered this really already, but it's about being clear, it's about keeping things really simple. Don't assume that people are going to understand exactly what you expect from them. Outline exactly what you need. Make sure it's jargon-free, and sell the benefits, and again, tailor things to your audience. Always keep Aussie and Charles in your mind, and also the 4 E's, which is enable, engage, exemplify, and encourage. Always keep those things in your mind and make sure you're covering off all those points. So if we look specifically at running a switch-off campaign, what that might look like if you were planning that in. So at first, you want to introduce your campaign. So this obviously might seem like a kind of step that you might not always do, but this is about saying we are going to launch a switch-off campaign. You might see some stickers or some posters being added around the organisation, why we're doing this, what the targets might be, and if there's targets, what the timescales might be, and really what you're going to expect from everybody. So it's really kind of warming them up ready before you even think about launching. You then want to make sure you've got everything in place that you're going to need. If you think about enabling people, you want them to have everything they need. So you want to make sure you're labelling your lights. You want to make sure that you're displaying the posters and stickers to reinforce that message. And labelling your lights is a really, really simple thing, but it's so powerful. I know that in here today, I was faced with a panel of lights, and it was quite daunting. I thought, oh, I better not touch any of those. And if you think about that in an organisation when you're leaving at the end of the day and you're not sure who's left in certain rooms and offices, a simple thing like that can be extremely powerful. And we've got things to help you do that. We've got lighting label templates and also a kind of lighting map that you might want to put next to your lighting panels, and you can take that and tailor it and make it exactly suitable for your organisation. We've also got posters and stickers that you can download to place everywhere that you think is suitable. Utilise as many places as possible. Back of toilet cubicles is always good. Notice boards, just anywhere where people might linger for a couple of seconds and you can grab their attention and just reinforce that message that you're already pushing out in all the different ways that you've chosen to. And so after all that, you're now actually ready to launch your campaign. And again, that's about using all the channels that you have available to you, talking to people, having a brown bag lunch, using notice boards, emails, intranets, and just making it as engaging and as fun as possible. Outlining again what behaviours you expect to see from people, outlining what maybe targets you have, what the timescales are, and what their role in what you're trying to do and how important their role is. And then as the weeks progress, you want to make sure you're always communicating. And you'll see this is repeated across. I won't go through them all, but you'll see that what I'm trying to get across is you don't just launch your campaign and expect the behaviours to change. You have to make sure you're really holding people's hands and taking them on that journey with you. And you want to make sure you're communicating any progress, any successes, of course, any reminders, perhaps things aren't quite going as you would have planned and there's some issues. But make sure you're asking people what's the barrier there. If lights aren't being switched off, why not? And making sure that you're being really positive and never preaching to them. Again, focusing on any incentives. Maybe you can give, a sweet or something on the desks of the people that switched off in departments, or you might use a kind of green card, red card system just to kind of keep it more engaging for people, just as a nice reminder. And of course, saying thank you all the time. You might want to, maybe a couple of weeks in, update your posters and your stickers. That's really key, I think. You don't want anything to blend into the background and to become, obsolete to people, because they're only going to recognise new things for a short space of time. So change things up. It might be just rotating things and moving them around, or looking for new posters and stickers to use. But definitely keep things fresh and make sure that it's not blending into the background. And again, identifying any issues and focusing on how you can address them as quickly as possible. And I won't go through this again, but you get the point. Communicating again with people, making sure they know where you're at in the initiative and how things are progressing. And again, always keeping on top of that. And then at the end, you want to make sure you're very clear about communicating how successful things have been. If there was any kind of reward, whether or not there was a staff drinks, if you hit your target, or anything more substantial or anything less, anything like that, you want to make sure you communicate and saying thank you and really rewarding people for the behaviour that they've engaged with. And then at that point, you're also going to be thinking about your next initiative, or perhaps even long before then. And although we won't be covering it today, we've got lots of other initiatives that, and resources that you can use to kind of move on to the next thing, whether it be waste segregation or leak reporting or water minimisation. So there's lots and lots there that you can use to hopefully break down some of the challenges of engaging staff and not getting bogged down too much in all the theory that can be out there when asking for a behaviour change.